welcome back to another episode of Late Entry. Your fucking face.
Bonded edition.
Auntie, I didn't know you were making an appearance.
Auntie.
Welcome back to another episode of Late Entry, your favorite or soon-to-be favorite place for the hottest sports news, viral trending topics, and conversations guaranteed to make you laugh. Joined tonight by Resting Bitch Face Kyle.
How we doing, Auntie?
And Drip Guy Woo.
Late Entry family was good.
Hey, yo.
We have no Nolan tonight. He's hiding from us because the Pacers the Pacers lost last night, so he didn't want to show up to get this smoke. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Thunder versus Wolves, Pacers versus Knicks. We've got a dude who got attacked by a coyote. And then we're going to be unveiling two new segments on the show. One, based or bullshit, and the other one, who you taking. So let's start off with the Thunder versus Wolves. Thunder won a very close game tonight against the Wolves. They had Lou Dort and the rest of their number one defense in the league locking down Anthony Edwards. He finished tonight with only 16 points. Yeah, so not a good showing from him. Crazy difference from the last game where he went crazy, carried them to a win, and now they didn't do well. But the role players played really, really well tonight. You had Jaden McDaniels with 22 points, Dante DiVincenzo with 21, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, 23 points. So they got contributions, but I thought it was a game that they really needed to win because role players usually play better at home than on the road. The next game is going to be in Indiana, or not Indiana. I'm fucking this up. The next game is going to be with the Thunder. So, yeah, if they've figured out how to lock down Ant, and then the next game is going to be at the Thunder, I'm concerned that the role players are not going to show up at all. And I think that up 3-1, I think this series is probably going to be ending next game. Toph, what do you think?
Man, like I said, you hit the nail on the head, man. Like when you could get 20 plus points from DiVincenzo and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, both going 5 from 8 from the 3-point line, 15 points respectively just from the three alone. You can't ask anything better. The bench unit showed up huge for the Timberwolves, and it just makes you think, like, if you'd have got just a little bit more from Ant, like if you just had 20 points, you'd have been good. They played phenomenal. Even when they were going down, DiVincenzo, he looked like he couldn't have missed from 3. He was just sitting in that corner, ready to shoot. Alexander Walker made some crazy shots. He was out there heat checking, step back 3. He didn't care about nothing. He said, "I'm pulling this bitch." Yeah, they just played phenomenal. And even on the Broncos, they were kind of saying the Thunder just have so many perimeter defenders where even Stephen Smith, he was flabbergasted that Ant only took 2 shots in the first half, which, that is crazy, because we always talk about Ant being, face of the league. He's a guy, he's the one that makes this whole team goes. Well, they said, maybe he's tired and things like that. Like I said, as much praise we give this guy's, like, you gotta have, at least 25. And my guy Big Jew, another stinker, man. You gotta hold that one as well too. But when you're big 2 guys, both don't show up, and basically, your second unit are the one that keeps you in the game. I thought this game was going to be, so it was going to be 4-0 sweep. Now they could have easily, won this would have made it, really interesting. Now you're down 3-1. Now we're in desperation mode.
Yeah. Sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, you're good.
Okay. Kyle, before you go, to your point, I actually took a picture of they put up a graphic at halftime. At halftime, Anthony Edwards had 4 points, 1 of 2 shooting, and he hit 2 free throws. Julius Randle, 5 points, 1 of 4 shooting, and 3 free throws. So yeah, not very good production from your two best players. Although, like I said, Ant was getting locked up a lot. They had Lou Dort on him the whole game. They had other defenders on him, so that was opening up for the role players to play better, and they did. They answered the call. But yeah, as if you're going to be the best player, especially like you mentioned, like the potential face of the league, which I know he says he doesn't want, but I know everyone's expecting that from him. You got to show up and get the job done. Kyle?
Yeah, no, and Randall only got colder. That was the other part of that too. Like they could have probably been in that game a lot sooner. Um, I mean, not that they were ever really out of it, but every time it felt like they were stretching it close. The Thunder just kept pushing away again, getting it to 7 to 9, 11, and then Minnesota had to fight back. I think it's been a little disappointing this series for Ant. He's just because of I think our expectation for him and what he's done. I mean, both in the regular season this year, averaging 28 points a game, six assists, and even in the playoffs, like he hasn't necessarily been carrying the team, but a night like tonight when your team is that close and it comes down to the last play, you'd hope to see Ant towards the top of the stat line, and he really wasn't there, and that's kind of been a trend when they lose this year. So now you're down 3-1, like Toph said, like you had the chance to go and make this 2-2, put yourself up there and put yourself, winning in the batter's box, so to speak. But now you're down 3-1. You're going back to I almost said New York. You're going back to OKC, and you what are you gonna do? I mean, yeah, it's gonna be really hard for them to go take 3 straight from here. If anybody can, it is the future face of the league, I guess. But I kind of see, as I've said, I think the Thunder are going to take this series, and the writing's on the wall.
What tough?
In 5,
Thunder
Five.
in
Thunder
5. He said, "Next game, it's over."
Yeah, to your point, Kyle, you said Randall only got colder from there. He finished the game with 5 points, which means he did not score a single point the whole second half. Absolutely cannot have that from your second best player on the team. I thought it was disappointing too.
Yeah,
like
he was trying to hit some, like he was trying to. You could see it was almost like a 2K My Career player, like when they're cold, trying to hit that green from behind the arc. Like he was trying to hit it, he was trying to get back, but he just couldn't do it.
and it's bad too that like something that I think that has been really good for Anthony Edwards the whole season, and it's even carried over into the playoffs, is the fact that when he's getting double teamed, when they're getting him to get rid of the ball, he's done a good job of getting that to the open shooter to make the right play. And he's played so much smart basketball. It was crazy to see the game essentially end on him just doing the same shit Brunson did the other night. Just run up the court and just fucking let that bitch fly way beyond the arc. Not even a good shot. Like, why? Why would you not get a better shot for that? Why just pull up and just chuck that bitch up? I hated that. I also hated the fact that the ball goes, they're fighting. Everyone on the team is scrapping, trying to get back into this game, trying to, snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And you get the ball back with 0.1 seconds. They review it. Now it's 0.3 seconds. We're like, oh shit. Now they actually have time to get a shot off. And rather than anybody taking the shot and trying to just send that bitch up in hopes that maybe you get fouled on a 3, and hopes that maybe it goes in, they just fucking try to throw a fucking alley-oop that doesn't get anywhere close to the basket, interception, that's the game. That's a horrible, horrible last shot. I'd rather,
Ant was wide open. I mean, I know he's on the letters, but he's wide open over there at the top of the key. Like, why not go to your shooter in that moment? Go to your clutch guy.
I'd rather see a half-court shot. I'd rather see someone maybe not get the ball off or get stuffed than you just throw a fucking interception that had no chance of making it. That was brutal. And I'd have probably let DiVincenzo or Nikhil Alexander-Walker take that shot, to be honest with you, just considering how hot they had been tonight.
Yeah.
Or I guess McDaniels too. Any of them.
Bottom line, I think, of this series, bottom line, is that Ant needs to step up. if they're gonna make a run here. He's got to do some takeover shit. Julius Randle has to score in the second half. Like, this team just has to play like themselves for 3 games straight, and they do have a shot, but you've got to be super consistent.
They
That
don't.
that
They don't
I
have
mean,
a
I'm
shot.
I'm talking very small.
This shit is
But
over. This shit is over, bro. I think
you
this
can never count anybody out of anything, man.
says the guy that wrote the Celtics off and was right.
Yeah, I was. I was going off a Tatum a broken Tatum. So
I thought the Celtics had a better chance of winning without Tatum than the Wolves have a chance of winning 3 straight right now. This shit is very
that's
over
fair.
with. If they win one more game,
I mean,
it'll be crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it. I don't see it. Like, I have the Thunder winning this. I just, if it's gonna happen, Ant needs to be on takeover mode.
Yeah. The only thing that I will say is like you said, the only little sliver. They have to win this next game. Well, obviously, because it's 3-1, right? So
Yeah.
if they lose, then it's done anyways.
But going
if they
in their house,
if they go in their
kind of
house,
flipping the momentum would be.
and then they'd get another home game. So then you would be tied 3-3. And that's a humongous if, and I don't think it's happening. I think this shit is wraps. And the Thunder are coming out of the West like everybody with the brain predicted. That wasn't me. The Knicks are back at it again. Beat the Pacers. We're down 20 points, 20-point deficit, and came back. They now have 3 comebacks from 20 points or more in the postseason. That is the most that a single team has had in the postseason since 1998, which is very impressive. It just shows exactly how good they've been at. They're down, they don't get discouraged, and they fight their way back into it. And what's crazy about it too is the fact that the Knicks scored 36 points in the fourth quarter. The Pacers scored 42 in the entire second half. So by the Knicks were 6 off in the fourth quarter scoring from the Pacers' entire second half scoring. That is incredible. And now it's 2-1, and we got another game at Indiana. I told Nolan, punk ass who's not here right now, so I'm going to talk my shit. I told him that there was a very big window for the Pacers having a bad game at home and the Knicks winning on the road, as they've been doing this entire postseason. And lo and behold, they got 1. So let's see if they can get to 2 and go back to New York tied 2-2. Kyle, what did you think?
That the big thing is you can never count the Knicks out. That's kind of been the thing that we've been saying since their first series is every time they're down, every time it looks like they're out of a game, they find a way to make it close again. Even, was it game 2 that it looked like they were out and they made it really close? Game 1. Game 1 was the buzzer beater, right, from Haliburton?
Yeah.
And that was the Pacers looked like they were running away with that game, and then all of a sudden the Knicks brought it within. They took it to OT. So I don't think they're out of it. That this is the series to watch now, I guess, because of what we were saying about the last one. That's probably over. But I don't know. I don't know that this game is the kicker. If they win game 4, then I still think we're riding with the Knicks. But if they lose this game, I'm jumping ship. I'm hopping on Nolan's coattails, dude.
Toph?
Man, like I told you guys yesterday, I wanted so bad to crucify Karl Anthony Towns with 4 points going into the fourth. I'd say the Pacers lost this game more than the Knicks came back at winning it. Especially at home, a commanding lead, you're rolling. You got, the second best player on the team having, probably one of the worst games he's ever had. The thing that drives me so crazy with Cat's game is he was chucking way too many deep threes. Sinking like bad shots, which, when the Knicks aren't necessarily rolling in their offense, everything just seems so hard for them to score offensively. A lot of times they got Brunson, trying to do pick and roll, trying to get, his preferred matchup and just chucking up a shot, last second pass to somebody like Mikal Bridges and OG, putting them in a bad position to kind of get a shot. Like I said, I think he had him that amazing 20 performance, saved the Knicks, playoff chances. Like I said, now they got life, and we've seen the Knicks come back just like the Pacers, down, you can never count them out. Like I said, it's a little surprising that they came back in that kind of fashion with just, not really much going on. And, basically needing either Brunson to have, the game of his life or Ants coming out of nowhere scoring 20 points in there. So like I said, another game I thought was going to be a sweep. It made me eat my own words. I got to hold that prediction there. I got to tip my hat to Cat, man. I think he falls in love with such the jump shot, and he could arguably be, the best shooting big man that we've ever seen. The man's also, about 7 foot. He just needs to attack the basket, be more physical, and, put Mitchell Robinson in bad positions where he wants to, get in foul trouble. Because, other than, Miles Turner, they don't really have, another big, per se, on Indiana. So if you could get Miles Turner in foul position, that creates a lot more driving space for Jalen Brunson to get to the rack. Or like I said, if Cat could just be more, inside the paint, open up a lot more for that team. Yeah, Knicks, they're still alive, man.
They are. We're gonna see. Hopefully, the next time that we're on this podcast, I'm able to talk some more shit to Nolan, going back 2-2 to New York.
Yeah, hopefully Jalen Brunson doesn't pull up from the letters again.
Bro, the Brunson and Edwards tonight now. They've both done that, and the shit just has me at home heated. I'm like, only 2 players I see making
But if
that.
you were on the court, you'd think you could make it too, man. You're
Fuck
stepping
no.
up. You're like, I'm wide open right here.
The only
I
2
hit the shit in Pracky.
the only 2 players that I see making that shit and that I have faith when they let that bitch go is going in is Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. That's the only 2.
Oof.
If Ant
KD,
or Brunson is hot,
that's my third.
yeah, I mean you could throw him and Dame in there.
Luka in the playoffs. But yeah, I'd agree with KD.
You could
I'd let KD take that shot any day of the week.
Yeah, you could do KD. You could do. I feel like a younger KD. I haven't seen KD do that as much recently.
I guess that's fair.
Same with Dame. Dame Lillard.
A year and a half ago. Yeah.
Dame Lillard could hit that too. That's kind of the shot that's a better shot than the one that Dame sent OKC home with. I think it was OKC,
Yeah,
right?
Dame is definitely a guy.
He hit over Paul George.
Hitting that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, aside from that, I mean, if Ant is hot, I guess take that shot. But considering he was not hot tonight, I don't know why you think that you'd be able to hit that.
Which is, I guess, why they tried to go with the Hail Mary, and not give it to him at the letters at the last second. They went with that. They were like, no, I'm not giving it. Like, we're going inside. But I don't know. At the same time, he is like, he's your guy. So.
Yeah. I don't understand why they don't run like more. And I know that there's smarter basketball people out here drawing these plays up, but I don't understand why you don't run like a crossing route to get somebody freed up like that. Like you take like Dante DiVincenzo and Ant, and you fucking literally run a crossing route, and everyone's gonna think it's gonna go to Ant, and then here's DiVincenzo coming through, getting basically a screen off of Ant, free him up for that shot. I don't understand why we don't see
That's
more
like
of that.
Classic basketball. You go to that hot hand and act like you're going to go to the clutch guy, but you go to the guy who's just been hitting it behind the arc. Yeah, that would have been the move. Him, McMillan, or McDaniels.
Yep.
Like either one of them would have been a great choice.
I was going to bring this up earlier too. Did you hear that Doris Burke try to start World War III? After
Which part?
We're not talking about the Knicks stuff, are we?
No, not when she said Knickerbockers. I'm talking about she had Rudy Gobert had posterized what's his name, Hartenstein, and she was like, I don't know too much about
Yeah.
history, but I know that the French and the Germans don't get along too well. And she was like, bonjour on them. Trying to start World War III, dog.
Dorisburg doubling down.
Yep.
Holy shit.
All right, so
That's hilarious.
Little segue out of sports for a second into some crazy shit that we found out about. There was a man in North Carolina who was out on a smoke break, and he said he was at his normal smoke spot. This is in a neighborhood, and he said he felt like something was watching him. And lo and behold, a fucking coyote comes out and attacks him, which I've never heard of before. A coyote attacking in the daylight and attacking a fucking human. So I'd have been concerned as hell that either this boy is starving or he's got rabies. But he attacked him. The guy tried to fight him off. Wound up having to fucking he got bit and wound up having to choke that motherfucker out. He said he held him for like 10 minutes until the cops got there. He said he didn't want to let him go from fear he wasn't dead. I want to know, Tove, do you think that you could beat a coyote in hand-to-hand combat? No weapons.
No weapons, nothing but them hands.
Yeah.
In a situation, like that, like you said, he kind of felt like, something was off the whole time, like something was creeping up on him. The man was kind of startled at first. Like I said, he was kind of, he kind of kicked him at first to kind of back him up. And, he wasn't falling for it. And he kind of stumbled, fell down, there was some rocks. And all of a sudden, the dog, coyote, whatever you want to call it, just jumped on him. In that situation, it's a one-on-one. It's either him or me. So I'm going to do whatever I got. If I got to choke the dog, I got to do what I got to do. So I'm going to take myself in that situation. And ain't a gorilla. I feel like, I got a better chance against the coyote there. Anything, if it was a wolf, yeah, I might be backing it up, y'all. But a coyote, I think I could take a coyote. I don't know how big it is, but it ain't no wolf. So I'm going to get the hell out of that coyote.
It's it's funny that you
I'm
mentioned the gorilla, because I saw in the comments somebody was saying like, "Oh guys, we found a D1 recruit for the gorilla fight."
Yeah.
Kyle, what about you? You think you could take a gorilla? Or not a gorilla, I'm sorry, you think you could take a coyote?
Yeah, I can take a gorilla one-on-one. No, I actually do have a funny story about it. So, I mean, yeah, first off, shout out this guy, because that survival instinct is real, and that just kind of does go to show what humans will do when you're faced with fight or flight, right? What a man will do to defend his life. I actually I never fought a coyote, but I was doing a workout on my street, and I kind of live in a little bit of a rural area, and I got about a full mile you can like run or bike down, like straight down my street, in my subdivision. And I took my bike down there. It was kind of like one of those circuit workouts, and one of the stations we had was like, grab my bike, take it all the way down and come back. And I took it all the way down my street at like 10 at night. We're doing this workout, and I'm coming back up my street, and I start hearing like running next to me. And I look to my right, and at first I thought it was a dog that like got out. There's a fucking coyote running stride for stride on the side of the road with me.
What?
Like, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just keep pedaling like for like another quarter mile. And then thank God, shout out Tony, my number one viewer, who put in a floodlight on our garage. So a motion floodlight. So as I drove up, like pulled up to our house in the bike, the light came on and the coyote dipped the other way.
Oh,
but like,
shit.
I'm sitting there thinking like, what if this thing charges at my bike? I am fucked. And I'm just like, I keep pedaling. So if he caught me in that situation and he would have charged at me in that, which he probably would have if I got off, I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I have an 85-pound dog, so I do trust in myself to be able to defend myself against a 45-pound coyote. But their bite force is gnarly, and they don't give up. So you gotta. I mean, it is like a survival thing. Like rip, exactly how he described it is probably how it would go. Like you got your hand all cut up. I would definitely take some bruises, but I hope to God I could be able to defend myself against that thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so you couldn't like out pedal the coyote? It on foot was as fast as you
Hell
on the bike?
no. He was
Damn.
as fast as I was going. He was just running with me.
Damn. I'd have smacked the shit out of that coyote with the bike like I was on the WWE with the chair. Yeah. I don't know,
Some
man.
superhuman shit would have taken over.
I think I could beat the dog shit out of a coyote. One coyote. 2 coyotes would be over. But one,
The issue with coyote, like that's what they do is they especially to like dogs and other animals, is they draw them to their homies, and then like 6 of them fuck one big dog up.
okay. Glad you said the up at the end. 6 of them fuck one big dog was a wild statement.
I mean, they might do that too. We won't get into it.
Hey, yo.
Oh my god. All right. So now we're gonna get into base or bullshit. So I've got 3 topics that I've seen people's takes on. We're gonna talk about if we think that these takes are based in logic and good takes, or if we think that they're bullshit. So the first one is at Sean Finessi on Twitter. NBA needs to do something about intentionally fouling up 3. It's the worst possible experience for the end of game enjoyment. Toph, what you think?
Like I said before, I see his argument for that part in there, but it's really just a part of the game. Um, Only way they can get around that is, well, first of all, don't put yourself in that position to have to, worry about that. We've seen many, times in the NBA where, something happens, someone lose the ball, do something crazy, you get the steal. There's always a chance, but you can't get rid of, a routine strategic play and things like that. We've had, hack a shacks. If you got any, especially at that time, you got someone that's a bad free throw shooter, it's your chance to, you know, if they go to the line, they hit one, if they miss both of them, now you got a chance and things like that. So I understand the frustration, but you can't get rid of, part of the game. You got 6 fouls. If you put in a position where, your team's not all fouled out, that's a legitimate strategy that you could use and things like that. So I don't understand how you could kind of get rid of, a routine play. It's just part of the game.
Kyle?
I mean, I really don't have. Toph really just said it. I'm gonna just pass it right back to you.
Okay.
Honest to God, like I ain't
yeah.
got much to add.
No, yeah, he hit the nail on the head with that one for sure. I've always wondered why more teams don't do that. I think it seems super strategic. Like there's people talk so much about the game with inside the game, and it's like chess moves going on during the whole thing. So it's like 30 seconds left in the game, and I'm up 3, and you get the ball back. Why would I not send you to the line? You only get 2, then I get the ball back. Like it seems like to me like the smartest thing that you could do, and it's not a guaranteed win. The Thunder literally lost game 2 or 3 to the Nuggets last series doing exactly that. They did exactly that, and then it became a free throw shoot off, and that was the Aaron Gordon buzzer beater. So it's not a guarantee, but to me it makes sense. Like
It can bite you in the ass. That's for sure.
if I was the head coach, I would absolutely be doing that every opportunity that I get. Like let's not even give you a chance to get a 3. Let's just go ahead and give you a foul. And then the counter to that is as soon as if I'm the team getting the ball, as soon as I see them coming in, I'm just gonna pull that bitch up. And now you're following me on 3. So you know what I mean? It's not like there's not counters to it. I don't think it's just this like unwinnable situation where it's like not within the morality of the game. Like, you know what I mean? I think that it's just another part of it that teams are going to try to work to their advantage. Nick Wright he was talking about on First Things First with like Broussard about how annoying it is all the time that like whenever a foul is called and all the players are doing this for like a challenge in it. And apparently that these guys are so annoyed with it that they're saying that they need to do something about it. And so Nick Wright had a solution to it, which I do think it's a solution, a good solution. I just don't think it's a legitimate problem for myself. But he was saying that any player can call a timeout anytime. Hit him with one of these. A player can do it, a coach can do it, whatever. And once they do it, it's binding. Like a player's not going to hit a timeout, and the coach is like, no, we don't want a timeout. So he's saying that anytime a player does one of these boys, the little finger twirl for the review, they just make it binding, make it like a timeout. Any player can call a review. And then if you don't have any left, then you get a tech, just like if you don't have a timeout and you call a timeout. So it's a good solution, but to me, I don't think that it's a problem that warrants it. Like, I've never been that annoyed by it before to where I feel like they need to change the rule for that. Kyle, what do you think?
I guess like as an NFL fan first, personally, like the NBA replays don't bother me. Like I have heard people complaining about how the game's slower now and that this and that, but I would rather the call get right every
Yes.
time. So yeah, even we saw one tonight where I think it was a Minnesota player calling for the replay, and as soon as you see the replay, you see he caught ball, but he also caught like all wrist too. So it's like, yeah, the coaches aren't going to challenge that, and they didn't. But like if the refs would have taken that as binding, as you said, like that would have screwed them out of a timeout, and yeah, it would have basically, like you just said, been a timeout call. Now, I guess if you're gonna make that a rule, then you coach it in your players to like come over to, like, you make a different signal for when you want them to look at it. You like touch your right, you go third base coach symbols, like and
Just
you go
loophole
make
it.
other signs for, hey, I want this to be reviewed. So if that like rule comes into play and starts taking over, then I I don't think that the players are going to stop calling for it. We're just not going to know necessarily that they're asking, or they're not going to necessarily make the signal like, hey, go. They're going to come up with something new. So that's why I think it's kind of a moot point. Like,
That's
why
fair.
even try to have to coach that into them? Like, just let them go talk to their coach about it, and then they can look it over. Like, even in MLB or NFL, like the players look to their coaches when they think something needs to be reviewed, and they make hand gestures. They same shit. So I don't think it should be binding. I think that's bullshit. Fuck you, Nick Wright. Come on the podcast.
Toph?
Um, Especially in today's climate, with just like all sports in general. Um, that you got sports gambling. So many things could be affected by a foul, a whistle. I'm always somebody for the integrity of the game. Wants the right calls to be made all the time. I mean, there's a bunch of times when fishing is a very hard thing. Whether if it's NBA, NHL, NFL, like I said, that's a hard thing to kind of catch in real time in certain moments. We've seen possibly the Saints, miss out, make it to a Super Bowl because of a no call on a blatant, pass interference. Um, they in an uproar about it. Packers, Seahawks, Hail Mary, Golden Tates. Like I said, um, when you got things that could like really change the outcome of a game drastically, I think as we've developed our technology, replays help and things like that. And even both teams today, did replays and they both got favorable calls and there things like that. I get it. Sometimes it adds like 10, 15 more minutes to the game, especially when it's nip and tuck right in the last 5 minutes. You kind of want to proceed the game in there, but there's the integrity of everybody, the players out there, and us as fans. I want to see the right calls every time. So it doesn't bother me when people are, replay this, replay that. it's on your team to be able to, it's a strategy as well too. Because if you end up, calling for replay, you don't get it, now you're going to miss out on things where maybe you might need that later on. Like I said, it doesn't bother me at all whatsoever. So I'm fine with how it is.
Honestly, that Golden Tate catch with Seattle versus Green Bay is the perfect example too,
The Des
because
Bryant catch, there's a
yeah,
lot of them.
I mean that is one like that almost it feels like in my memory that almost kickstarted the every touchdown gets
Mm-hmm.
reviewed now.
Megatron
Like
in the
it
end
was
zone.
during the NFL replacement refs or the fill-in refs, and like yeah, that was a big controversy as to like was that a touchdown or not, and yeah, that really like that just goes to show like we need these replays, we need the technology because the human eye is not gonna always get it right. So I don't care how slow the game is, I want it called right.
Absolutely. I'm in the same boat. So we've got can't follow up 3 and not letting players wave the fingers for the replay. We're calling bullshit on both of those. Kyle, you found an interesting take with somebody comparing a current NBA player to a Hall of Famer. You want to tell us about that one?
Yes, sir. Shout out at Vance Barnes Show, another up and comer, just like late entry. He talked about how SGA. He even said he prefaced, "I'm gonna piss a lot of people off with this," but he said that SGA is the modern day Kobe. His ability to get buckets contested or not is unmatched, and the MVP candidacy obviously is just like a stepping stone towards it. My personal opinion, before passing it to you guys, is that this is just like way too fucking early to be calling SGA the modern day Kobe. I mean, yeah, he just got an MVP, but Kobe retired with 5 championships, so um, even if SGA had won, I would be like a lot more lenient into this take, but to me this is bullshit. It's not based at all. It is in line to me with like my Baker take of like, it could happen. Like I could look really smart in 2 years. Like who knows? But I could look really dumb too. So yeah, this one's bullshit. No hate on you, Vance Barnes, but I disagree with you on this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. It's not based; it's bullshit. And basically everything you've said. It's too early. Kobe's whole thing was like Mamba mentality and working hard and like getting out the grit and stuff like that. And Shea's kind of known for being a flop artist, so he is a really good scorer. You saw a lot of that even tonight. Like he played great. I think he had like 30 or 40 points. I mean, very very good player, but we've seen nothing so far to be able to make that comparison yet. That to put him on the Kobe level. Um, so does I don't think does SGA have a scoring title
Then he, I mean, he was first this year, so
this year?
that should be
Okay,
his first one.
so
Yeah.
this was his first MVP, his first scoring title, and no championships. We're way way too early to compare him to one of the greatest scorers in basketball, one of the hardest workers in basketball, a Hall of Famer. Some
Mm-hmm.
people's many people's top 3 best players of all time. Way too early for a comparison like that. Now, if you want to say that game models like that, that's one thing. But to say he is the modern day Kobe, bullshit. Toph?
And then that's the thing about Kobe that like even young guys like us need to remember is we're going to call him top 3, but even the generation or 2 generations before us that have watched basketball, they will all call Kobe top 10. Like that is like at the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So to put SGA in that class right now is just such an early call.
Without a championship, SGA is not even the best Thunder player. I know that's a
True.
hot take right now, or a hot debate right now. But if he wins a chip, that might change. But he's not even the best Thunder player yet. Toph, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I agree.
On that last point, yes, He should be the best Thunder player at the end of his career.
Right now,
Because
though.
like I said, no, not right now. But like I said, he will be. Unless God forbid
If
something
everything
happens.
keeps trending,
Yeah, like I
yeah.
said, none of the Thunder players won a championship in OKC. They all got an MVP. You know, Durant and the young boys at least got to one finals appearance, and it's looking like Shea should at least be able to get that. So eventually they'll be on the same par, but he'll have a chance to kind of eventually put himself over the top. Now to get back to the previous point, we got two different versions of Kobe. You got number 8, and then you got Black Mamba 24. Now Froby number 8, he was more of a athletic. He didn't have the whole 3 point scoring dimension as 24 had. So I could see the aspect of the games being the same. Shea's not really a 3 point shooter. He likes to kind of live around the mid range. He might be the best driver of the basketball in today's game. I mean, even today, that man got through at will whenever he wanted to. They call him the free throw merchant, which, James Harden made a living of that as well, too. It's part of the game. Those are easy buckets. You got to get those. But to put him on the same level as Kobe, that's just crazy. I don't see it at all. They just have two different games. Some things are similar, but Kobe was just his demeanor, his mentality. He was a killer out there. Literally. But yeah, I don't see that take at all. I respect trying to say something crazy and wild, but yeah, that's some cap right there. I can't get on board with that.
Well, and to Vance's little bit of, I mean, not little bit of credit. I give him credit, but to his credit, he did shout out that SGA's free throw attempts this year was less than Kobe's free throw attempts in his MVP campaign. Regardless, though, that is not legacy, right? Like you take the free throws out of it, like, and you just look at the players. I mean, SGA has a lot of work to do before he gets in the Kobe conversation.
Absolutely.
So we're calling this
Bullshit.
bullshit.
Bullshit. So can't foul up 3, not letting players wave the finger for the review, and SGA the next Kobe. All 3 of these not based. Bullshit. All right, everybody. So who you taking went a little bit longer than we expected. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this as a bonus episode in the next few days for us. So stay tuned for that. It is absolutely cannot miss. You're gonna enjoy it. But that's all the time for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Late Entry. Joined again by Rest in Bitch Face Kyle and Drip Guy Woo.
What up?
How you gonna say what up as we're
Hey, y'all
leaving?
know, run it up and you ruined my whole outro.
How we
right there.
doing? Adios.
What was your?
My chat GPT broke down.
You said I ruined your whole outro. Hit your outro, Drip Guy Woo.
Hey, late entry family, you know what it is. Hit up the comments, TikTok, YouTube, run it up, man. We got spicy today. We want to see some comments. Hit us up.
We out you. Peace.